And Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam told reporters yesterday that Deshaun Watson has, quote, a great chance to be the franchise's starter, considering there's a fresh start under first-year head coach Todd Monken.
Like, I want Shedeur to start the season because, to me, the only place Deshaun Watson can go is negative places.
Wow, listen, I'm inclined to say Shedeur Sanders because he finished the season, and Deshaun Watson has been so bad in a Cleveland Browns uniform. But because of the money, RC, Shay, I'm inclined to try to at least give the man one more chance.
Something is about to explode in Cleveland, and it's not just another quarterback controversy. It's a full-blown identity crisis for a franchise that already feels like it's been holding its breath for years. Because now, the conversation is shifted from who gives the Cleveland Browns the best chance to win to something way more uncomfortable. Are they finally ready to move on from Deshaun Watson? And right when that tension hits its peak, here comes Shedeur Sanders, entering the picture like a storm you didn't see coming. Here's the part nobody is talking about. This isn't just a football decision anymore. It's a financial, cultural, and reputational gamble all rolled into one. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam basically told reporters that Watson still has a great chance to be the starter, especially with a fresh system under head coach Todd Monken. But let's be real, when you have to say that out loud, it usually means doubt is already creeping in behind the scenes. But Stephen A. Smith has this to say on it.
But my eyes are like, I'm praying and hoping that he lives up to his billing to some degree. I can't believe what a precipitous drop-off we've witnessed when it comes to Deshaun Watson in a Cleveland Browns uniform.
Now, let's actually introduce what's happening here. The Browns are entering a season where the quarterback room suddenly feels crowded, confusing, and honestly, divided. You've got Watson, who was once considered elite. You've got Shedeur Sanders, a rising name who finished strong and showed flashes of leadership, and then there's depth pieces like Dillon Gabriel still in the mix, plus future draft picks looming like a ticking clock. This isn't just competition, it's a crossroads. This is where it gets dangerous, because the Browns can't afford to be wrong again. They already committed massive money to Watson, and that contract isn't something you can just ignore. It's not like you can bench him casually and move on. Every decision they make at quarterback is tied to that investment, and that's what makes this situation so explosive. Because if Shedeur is better, but Watson is getting paid like a superstar, what do you actually do?
I came in supporting Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Followed him from Clemson to the Texans. Great talent.
Yeah.
Came to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
I thought that we would have, we had our quarterback. I think the injuries got in the way.
Yep.
That affected his timing to really get in rhythm. Obviously, we had some, offensive line issues.
Now, let's break down what's being said and what's actually happening on the field. Analysts like Stephen A. Smith have openly admitted something fans are starting to feel. Watson just hasn't been good in Cleveland, and that's putting it lightly. We're talking about a player who, during his time with the Houston Texans, was once mentioned in the same breath as Patrick Mahomes in terms of raw ability and playmaking. But since arriving in Cleveland, it's been a completely different story. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They assume that past performance guarantees future success. But the NFL doesn't care about what you used to be. It only cares about what you are right now. And right now, Watson's production, consistency, and impact haven't matched the expectations or the money.
Shedeur is younger.
Yep.
And Deshaun Watson is on that last contract. Do you put that much equity into investing into someone that if you do keep him next year, now you're talking, he would have to play lights out.
Yeah.
And here's the wild stat that keeps getting overlooked. Watson has only played in about 19 games over a multi-year stretch in Cleveland. That's not just underperformance, that's absence. Injuries, inconsistency, and lack of rhythm have all played a role. So now there's this strange what-if hanging over him. What if he just needs more time? What if we haven't seen the real version of him yet? Here's the part nobody is talking about. Hope can be dangerous, because hope is what keeps teams holding on to players longer than they should, and that's exactly where Cleveland might be right now. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is quietly building something very different. He doesn't have Watson's NFL resume, but what he does have is momentum. He finished strong, showed leadership, and most importantly, he gave people a reason to believe. And in today's game, belief is everything. It's what turns a good quarterback into the face of a franchise. This is where it gets dangerous, because if the locker room starts believing in Shedeur more than Watson, the decision might make itself. And let's not ignore something else that's been hinted at. Todd Monken might actually prefer going younger. That's not just speculation. There have been subtle comments, little clues from interviews and league meetings suggesting that Cleveland might be leaning toward a reset at the position. And if that's true, then this isn't just a competition, it's a transition.
Like last year, when Dylan Gabriel beat out Shedeur Sanders in many ways, all I kept telling everybody was, something's smelly. Something's off here. I don't like this. And I got a feeling I'm going to have that same antenna raised up this offseason.
Now zoom out for a second, because this isn't happening in isolation. Across the sports world, we're seeing similar shifts. Look at the NBA right now. Teams are moving toward younger, faster, more dynamic players. Veterans are still valuable, but the league is clearly prioritizing upside and potential. Just look at what's happening with players like Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Edwards. The future is arriving faster than anyone expected, and that same mindset is creeping into the NFL. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think the opportunity will always be there, but in reality, windows close fast. If Shedeur gets his chance, he has to take it immediately. No hesitation, no slow adjustment period, because if he falters, the narrative flips instantly. But if he succeeds, everything changes. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Shedeur Sanders isn't just competing against Watson, he's competing against the idea of Watson, the memory of what Watson used to be, the version of him that dominated defenses and made impossible plays look routine. And that's a tough opponent to beat, because it lives in people's minds more than on the field. But memories don't win games. Performance does. And right now, performance is leaning in Shedeur's favor.
Like, I want Shedeur to start the season, because to me, the only place Deshaun Watson can go is negative places. And at least one guy, I can make an argument for the positivity. Or, again, I can just move on to Jaden Mayava.
This is where it gets dangerous, because if Cleveland starts winning with Shedeur, there's no going back. You can't bench a winning quarterback just because of a contract. The fans won't accept it. The locker room won't accept it. And suddenly, that massive deal for Watson becomes one of the biggest talking points in the entire league. Now think about the pressure on Watson. This isn't just about earning a starting job. It's about proving he still belongs at an elite level. Every throw, every read, every mistake is being evaluated not just by coaches, but by media, fans, and even his own teammates. And when you're under that kind of scrutiny, it can either sharpen you or break you. And we've seen how this plays out before. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They underestimate how quickly public perception can turn. One bad game becomes a narrative. Two bad games become a trend. And suddenly, you're not fighting for a starting job. You're fighting for your career. Meanwhile, Shedeur is playing with house money. Expectations are lower, pressure is different, and that can be a huge advantage. He can take risks, play freely, and build confidence without carrying the weight of a massive contract. Now let's bring it back to the bigger picture, because this isn't just about Cleveland. This is about the evolution of the quarterback position in the NFL. We're entering an era where teams want quarterbacks who are not only skilled, but adaptable, marketable, and mentally resilient. The game is faster, defenses are smarter, and the margin for error is smaller than ever. And in that environment, the players who succeed are the ones who can handle chaos. So the question becomes, who handles chaos better? Watson with his experience but recent struggles, or Shedeur with his momentum but limited NFL exposure? Here's the part nobody is talking about. This decision could define the Browns for the next 5 years. Get it right, and they finally stabilize the most important position in sports. Get it wrong, and they're back to square one, searching for answers while the rest of the league moves forward. And that's why this battle feels different. It's not just competition, it's a turning point. This is where it gets dangerous, because once the season starts, there's no hiding from the results. The tape doesn't lie, the scoreboard doesn't lie, and eventually the truth comes out. So now, I'll leave you with this. If you're Cleveland, do you bet on what Deshaun Watson used to be, or do you bet on what Shedeur Sanders is becoming? Because you can't have both, and whichever choice they make, it's going to define everything.